Okay, so call to order at 6 o'clock. Motion to adopt the agenda is presented. Council Orwick, all in favor? Carried. I see we have a delegation. Peggy and partner.
Up here?
Matthew moved back here in the dark side. So.
Yeah. I'm Peggy Rehill. I am the liaison for Hanna Society for the farmers market in town. And we are here, we would like to ask for a reduction in the rent for our 3-hour, once a week farmers market. So I think everybody got my financial statement. If you know, isn't there any questions for me? I think so. And my market manager here, she's got a lot of facts for me kind of thing. This is Melissa Ray, so she can.
The Melissa Ray.
Yeah. She can give you a lot of facts for us, just to round it out for you.
I guess Peggy, I'll ask,
Sure.
Is there any potential down the road of making the full rent? Like, this started out in COVID times and it's just continued. And
every year we seem to get a little more vendors and a little more vendors. We picked up a couple new ones here. We've got the Hunter Rights here last year, and that really helped, and that brought more people in. We also Fast Family Farms, which is he farms out of Bymore, and he brings lots of vegetables and stuff. He has set it up so that you can buy baskets from him, order them every week, and he brings them to Hanna, and you have to pick them up at the farmers market. So that brings more traffic in for us.
Yeah.
So, as long as, I don't know, I think everybody's starting to get back where we do have the small businesses. Whereas after COVID, it took, well, more than 2 years, obviously, as you can tell, kind of thing, that we aren't, that nobody was doing it.
Yeah.
And we had a lot of places in town that were picking up where you could leave your stuff in and people would sell them on commission or whatever, which we don't have anymore either. So this year for the Mother's Day market that is on May 10th, we've got a few more vendors. Those are the only two that pay is our Mother's Day market, and then we have the Christmas market at JC Sherry. And those two make us some money so that we can go through for the year.
no, I just, like I said,
I'm hoping that
Yeah.
we will get back to a full market, the full market kind of thing. But again.
no, it's a definite asset to the town. I agree.
So, but yeah.
Council Murphy?
Do you think you will ever get to the capacity, being that there's 2 markets running on Wednesdays?
The last year, the market was only running once a month kind of thing, so
Yeah.
it didn't really,
But they've increased it, from what I understand.
I don't know, we don't talk back and forth to see what the other one's doing.
I know each market has something different, or
Yes.
carry different vendors, different people, so everybody likes those places, I think. And
The vendors that we do have, like our location, they don't like the other location. Put it that way. I like our location for the simple reason is we're downtown basically, like, I mean, it's, you can walk, people come in that big door and it's no problem at all getting in.
Which are accessible for sure.
Yes, yes,
Accessible as well.
And yeah, and even with the other market going, they are going from 11 to 3 or whatever it is that they do go. Why are my feelings on it?
You're being so good. I'm so proud of you. Thank you.
Is they get a lot of people coming in because they serve lunch. Now, we go 3 to 6. There is no lunch or no counter there kind of thing. It's just whatever people have that they buy. So that's a big draw for Jerry down there is the lunch company. And I don't know how many vendors, I have not been in there for a lot of years, so I don't know how many vendors they get every week, but we are running what?
We average 12 to 15 vendors each market. We had, well, the one day we had 300 people come through on a Wednesday. We averaged 200 people through on a Wednesday. 95% of our vendors are all local from the town. We had 5 kids tables take on learning how to build a business and to do all that aspect of things to get out there to work, to earn. And so that's been a great experience for these kids and they can't wait to come back next year and work some more, I guess. We've also had the museum, kids sport, safety stop, the McMahon Family Services, reach program from the school, the library. They all come and have tables at our market to reach out to community members who don't know about what they have to offer.
Would the table price change make a difference?
Not for profit, get it free. Kind of thing.
I'm
That's
talking
part
about
of
the
the Alberta
vendors.
one.
Right.
I don't know if we moved it up higher, if people would come.
Right.
Like, it's, yeah,
A lot of our lower income seniors that we have as our vendors can't afford more for a table price, which is why we kept it at the same price so that they can afford to come.
we debated moving it up, but like I said, and everybody says, wow, that's $5 more. Well, sometimes it makes a difference. Like I've had some vendors that they might not have sold that day kind of thing and stuff, and they'll come in and they'll say, you know, I sold one thing that made my table. So
What is your price per table?
$15. That's for your regular 125 for your Mother's Day and your Christmas market, because they are big sellers. So,
They, I'm sorry, do they prepay for the whole year then, or do they just?
no, they pay as they come.
Okay.
We have a form, an application form for them to fill out, and they can check off which ones they're going to come to, so we know what we've got. And if they want to prepay for the year, they can, but a lot of them pay every week. But they usually give us the form filled out so that we know which ones are coming on.
And do they stick with that, if they've indicated which ones they plan on?
We've only had 1 or 2 that, something will happen and they didn't show up or whatever, but yeah, they're pretty much, yeah. Yeah, we usually, like I said, our big ones are our vegetables is our best.
So I wanna ask you this, cause I kind of like the open door at the back too, it kind of works well, but is there anywhere else that would be, like, if you only have 12 to 15 vendors, is there any other location that would work with the 12 to 15 vendors?
We've looked around,
That's,
the wheelchair accessible or the accessible one with the walkers is a big thing. Like we, at the Legion, yes, you can come in the back, but how do our people get everything in there? You know, so like the Hanna racer wouldn't be whole, they wouldn't be there.
just because of the space and.
Yeah, you just can't get, you can't load and unload and everything else, so it's. Permanent is a big roost, and I think it's very feasible. We pay you guys 45 to 5,000 a year for something that isn't. If you guys turn around and you've got something going on, which usually Wednesday isn't, and then we make sure we've got everything all cleaned up and stacked out of the way so that they can have it on the weekend. And yeah, we do our own thing. And a lot of times, you know, like it's. All we ask is the garbage is to be emptied, so. Yeah.
Any other questions? Council Cole?
You think that, like, we have the loop on Wednesday, but it ends at 3:00. Do you think if maybe you guys moving ahead an hour or at least continue on
I
for an
didn't
hour?
realize it finished at 3. I hadn't looked, I just knew it was one kind of thing. The bad part is everybody rushes to get there. And then when they get there, like at 6 o'clock, it's a lot of times there's between 5 and 6 is the slowest part. So if we moved it ahead, then we might, yeah. The 3 o'clock is nice because the kids get out of school and then the parents come down with the kids. You know, when we have it for June and September, but. It's a thought, Fred. I never even thought of that kind of thing with the local loop, and that would make it so much easier for somebody because we carry bags out for some people. Kind of thing, because, you know, to their vehicle for them and stuff like that, so. Yes.
I was gonna say to the local loop, send it out.
Yeah, that's what he was asking, either one of us.
That's what I'm saying. We could go until 4. you know.
Yeah, drop them off at 3 and, yeah, come and get them,
Yeah,
yeah.
so. Yeah, and I don't know what Jerry's hours are going to be or how many times she's going to have it, so that's. I don't know anything about the roundup market, so.
Yeah, that might be a nice try. I think I might.
I would try those,
Yeah,
so, yeah.
maybe for the summer.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Well, so I do have a question, sorry, Mr. Mayor, for the town, like, so I heard Peggy say that was gonna be my next question. So it's not being, the facility is not being utilized in any other particular way during those times and probably for most of the summer, right? So it's kind of open space anyhow, am I correct?
Correct.
In saying that, so,
I think that was kind of part of why it was so attractive at that point, is because it wasn't, and it was additional revenue for the town. To have it come of
Well, it's
such.
utilizing an empty facility, basically.
Yeah, that's kind of, I'm getting at.
Any other questions?
Okay, thanks for hearing us out, guys.
well,
Okay,
thank you, lady.
Can we get a motion to thank representatives of the Hanna Farmers Market Committee for their presentation regarding the status of the Hanna Market and request for a subsidized rental rate for the 2025 year. Councilor Murphy, all in favor? And it's on the agenda a little bit
Yes.
later on. We'll get back to you.
Sounds good.
Betcha.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Public presentations. Martha, just once, come on.
Oh.
Maybe you and Gary can get together and sing or something.
Martha did present once and she did a very good.
Yes, she
job.
did actually, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, adoption of the minutes of the meeting, regular meeting, council, March 11, 2025, adopted and presented, Councilor Thorough. All in favor? Carried. Minutes of the information session in council, March 26, 2025, be adopted as presented. Councilor Olson, all in favor? Carried. Finance reports, accounts payable.
I have a
Councilor Bowden?
question, if I can speak. I had a question regarding, it's just for information, what the, admin CN dam registration documents is. Does the CN dam have to be registered? It is checked, well, it is a check number, like 03052. Little bank visa.
I did some research, so maybe in case.
Oh, sorry. Okay, so I just. Yeah, I wasn't sure whether or not, okay, I just wasn't sure whether or not the dam had to be registered or something.
No, we were just looking to see what documents were registered on that property.
Thank you very much.
Stuff that I requested that the lawyers were looking for partway through the hearing.
Thank you, that's all I had for that.
Any other questions? Seeing, hearing none, council accepts the accounts payable listings for general account for information, check number 043369 to 043381. Direct deposit 003887 to 003973. And electronic funds transfer batch numbers 93 and 933 and 935. Motion, Councilor Warwick. All in favor? Carried. Statement of revenue and expense. Councilor Cole was smiling. That's not a good thing.
Keep guessing.
Hearing none. Council accepts the statement of revenue and expense report for March 2025 for information. Motion by Council Olson, all in favor? Carried. Budget overview, March 2025.
One question. Yeah, the van operations, it's running into a deficit. And it's this early and we're not far over, so. What's the big expense while we're, yeah,
Not top of my head, I'm not really sure.
I can give it to Matthew tomorrow night and I can ask him that question. It's like we're only 3 months into the year and we're already at a deficit, so.
Could have been a warranty repair or something.
Okay, so we'll dig into that one for Mr. Counselor Thurl. Council accepts the budget overview for March 2025 for information. Motion by Counselor Thurl, all in favor? Carried. Capital budget update, March 2025. Oh, Bowden,
I just have a question. If you can remind me how much regarding the Nickelback signage project, how much of that is the town? Is it 50/50?
That was the plan, yes. We was to set aside 150 and we applied for a grant for 150, which we didn't get.
Didn't get it. Just wanted to compare that. Thank you.
any other questions, concerns? Hearing none, council accept the first quarter capital budget update. Dated March 2025 for information. Motion by Councilor Murphy, all in favor? Carried. Committee reports. None. Senior administrative officials. Mr. Norwood, you're up to bat.
Yeah, so through the chair, you can see what's there. Some of the meetings revolved the housing needs in the town. So we've got a couple of meetings regarding that. We met with Harvest Sky, Prairie Land, Regional School Division, Big Country Housing, and staff meetings were there to discuss some of the issues that exist. There is a demand for low-income homes in the town. Later on in the week, we met with NPE, their engineers, and we talked to them about coming up with some designs or what it would cost to do designs on developing the former ATCO lands. So they're going to give us that information.
So are you gonna consider any of that information from Harvest Sky?
Yeah, but with the Harvest Sky one, there wasn't a plan. If we're going to chase grants later on, they want a shovel ready, so we need like an engineered plan, and
Yeah,
that Harvest Sky was just drawings. It wasn't like an engineered.
no, but as far as some of the information within it and such, is that any of that going to be?
Yeah, it'll all be. Yeah, it's all like it's not that old too. It's like
No, it's only a couple of
2024.
years,
Yeah,
yeah.
so it'll all go together, and the idea is to get everything ready for it. There's grants that come up.
Is there a target date on that? As far as getting something back?
We told them we'd like to hear back before our meeting at the end of the month. Because we don't know what the cost is of that, so we have to work that cost into our budget. I guess the other thing is the assessments went out, our overall assessment is off this year. I think, what was it, 20? Um, 26 million overall.
Do you have a percentage as to how much?
I think I think the normal work today, was it around 4 or 5%?
Yeah, the average is 3 to 8%.
On resident?
On residents and commercial. And then even sales were done accordingly. So, somebody can put it in there.
Oh, I'm sorry, I apologize. It's very funny. Right,
And I guess the final thing is I didn't put it in the report because it didn't happen yet, that the 3 lots that we had on Fielding Place. So we have no lots remaining there in Fielding Place.
Good,
Yeah, good take on.
good news.
Yeah.
There's other lots around town. I toured last night.
Yeah.
Be nice to fill in some of the gaps.
Want to touch on the great news we had this afternoon, Nelson and Pioneer,
Oh,
yes.
we should be going out to tender in next week for the repaving of the Palliser and Pioneer Road. So that should go out next week. So hopefully everything works well, we can get it done before the end of the season.
Any other questions of Matthew?
So that Pioneer Trail is that big, bridge?
Yeah, it'll all go out to tender together.
The bridge will be a separate tender though.
For the paving will all be together.
Correct.
Yeah.
Kevin's report is there. Any questions of this?
Mr. Mayor, I do have a question, for the community service facility manager. There was, a note here that said the AARFP annual conference is being held in April and that, Kevin will be presenting the issues and struggles of small town and access to specialty trades, etc. So I'm curious, what are those issues and struggles of small town and access to specialty trades? Can we know that?
Yeah, I think, because I worked in rec and I worked in small towns, I think it's getting people who have that skill level to do the arena operator, if they're a pool operator, getting people who have that skill set to work in recreation. Yeah, so it's hard to find those people who have that skill level, especially in a small place, and if you're in a bigger urban area or in a more connected place, you know, you're gonna have more people to choose from, but out here.
And he wants to try to connect other rural areas together to share the costs of the travel. Maybe like he spoke specifically about repairs.
I think whoever we hire in rec is probably gonna have to be trained up. They're not gonna, it's unlikely they're gonna come in with experience of working in a rec facility. They're gonna have to have a basic skill set of tools and mechanical skills, but they're gonna have to learn how a pool operates and how an arena operates.
I know we spend a fair chunk of change on training every year, keeping certifications up to date and, so, yeah.
Thank you. I was just curious, and I wondered if there was, some resolve, what you said, so I was glad to hear that, maybe community efforts together. I mean, I don't know what the answer is. I'm curious to know if anybody else has any answers.
Coming up.
Right.
Really?
fairly lengthy report for you this time around. I'm gonna kind of jump to the end first where I speak about the advertising bylaw. So I had thought in my mind it may have to come back to council, but I was very pleased when I did the research that the advertising bylaw that council approved in 2023 100% meets the requirements, so we don't need to do anything with the closing of the ECA review. What we will do, the only thing that we will look at, and we've been doing it kind of informally anyways, is looking at a better workflow process for development permits. So, we'll be looking at that this year. A little more timely than once a quarter. Dr. Fortney's presentation when she was here last month was very good, and I saw a few things that I thought we could use as low-hanging fruit that would be fairly simple fixes or things that we could be working on with them. So I've had some good conversations with Angela and come up with some plans, and things are in progress and some are even completed. So you'll see this week information going out on the non-clinical transfers that she spoke about. So the contract with Alberta Health Services, we're going to help communicate that in our newsletter, in the flyer that goes in the paper, and then you'll see it on social media after that. We're discussing the rental registry piece. She and I have some thoughts on that, but we're not the ones that would be doing the actual collecting and storing and the keeper of the key kind of thing. So we're discussing that and taking that back to our staff to see how that might roll out and be smooth and successful. And then the updates that Dr. Fortney spoke about, you know, whether it was the town or the real estate agents or what it might be overselling the features of the town. And I know that Prairie teachers had expressed that at one point as well. So it's not limited to just health. I think it's also education, people moving here and the services that we have aren't necessarily meeting their needs, and then finding out that they need to travel for these services, but don't have adequate transportation to do so. And so Dr. Fortney wanted to be sure that we're not overselling the community. So I asked them to review the health portion on our website. A whole bunch of changes were suggested. She went out to the different departments, acute care, continuing care, physiotherapy. I think it was 5 different areas, mental health. Collected updates and information. I just got that finished this afternoon and sent it back to her for another set of eyes to make sure there aren't any really bad typos. Little typos I'm okay with. Really bad typos, not so much. So I just wanted to give you a bit of an update on the progress of that since the last meeting.
I wonder if there could be a bit of a partnership to the real estate agents as well, that kind of brings them up to date on what services are available, what aren't. You know, I would think that if I'm going into a community, that I do some research and find out what you have and what you don't have, than making an assumption and then going in blindly. And then finding out especially if you've got health issues or childcare issues or things of that nature. You know, is there something that we could put on the front page of our website saying?
It's a very delicate balance, I must say, between someone who might have a special needs child who may or may not be able to get the care they need here and scaring people away. So the focus of real estate agents is to sell properties. In the big picture, you're selling the town, but you're selling the property that belongs to a person.
Yeah, I realize what a
So-
real estate agent does.
I know, but
My
you.
point is that, you know, as far as them having a contact with the public as well, that it is made somewhat obvious, or just, you know, make sure that you check around to see what we have for our schools and hospitals and things of that nature. It is just in conversation, not a formal request.
Yeah, I don't think you wanna put on our website that you do not have a taxi is on the front lines. I mean.
Right.
No, but we do have a
Yeah,
button.
Just on the sense that if you are going into a new community, please make sure that you are looking for exactly what you need.
I'd like to invite council to have a look at the website, because we do have a button right on the homepage that is specific to new residents. So I wonder if they click on that, it's just a really quick summary to lots of other resources. So I'm reading from the mayor, how do I get my utilities? What community groups are available? What about childcare, like all maps, construction, pets, healthcare, education? All of those buttons are available on the website that takes to further information. So for those people looking to move here, then we can.
No, no,
Yeah,
and
it's
I don't
there.
expect it, and I have to
The
apologize,
hard
I
part
haven't
is-
been on that particular site for.
The hard part is keeping it current and going out and getting, the information back.
Make a comment too. I think too, over the last while, I have met some people that come here and purchase property, sight unseen, kind of from a distance. They didn't come and they didn't connect with the community. So they were learning as they moved here. And is that where we're having the difficulty? Because in the past, when I sat at the table interviewing teachers and personnel that was coming here from Prairie Land, they were well versed in the community. They did their research. They came to the community. They spent time, moving around the community with the town and the school division. So I'm actually kind of shocked to actually even hear that, and then I wonder if it is the people that have moved here, kind of purchased property from a distance and then moved here kind of unbeknownst to them what this community offers.
I don't have any answers to
Yeah,
that.
well, thank you, Lori.
Well, you'd be amazed how many phone calls I get. Probably 2 a month on average of people asking about a said property, and they're from Vancouver. I used the example, a guy driving out by Vancouver pulling over, and I'm like, "You're on a holiday?" "No, we live in Vancouver. We winter in Arizona. It looks like it'd be cheaper to live in Hanna." And I'm like, "So you're coming out to look at property?" "Nope, just want to know, can I put my fifth wheel on this lot while I build a house, or can I do this?" And you're like, from only being from Hanna, you sit back and go, I would never buy a property anywhere without walking out on it and looking at it. But there's a lot of people,
Or there is more and more.
and I'm seeing that they're buying. And I guess because the realtors can do the virtual tour with their phone and show, there's more than I expected every day.
Well, I know when we moved here, I physically toured the school. I toured the school in Mount Heller, I toured the school in Three Hills, Trochu. I mean, I physically walked through the schools. I walked through the hospitals. To me, I don't know how it is a town's responsibility
Yeah.
to sell ourselves short. We have a tough enough time marketing ourselves, never mind pointing out all of our shortcomings.
It's a little bit of buyer beware, all right?
Well, and just the money involved in it, like it's a financial investment, and that amount of money you're investing in moving across a different province or whatever, that, the onus should be on the buyer.
Yeah.
But, obviously nobody is accountable anymore, and, at the end of the day, there's nothing we can really help them out with because we don't have the resources. So, it's a little bit of a frustrating situation.
I saw this as a real positive. I just want to end that on a high note,
Yeah.
the fact that the communication with the health facility
Mhm.
has opened up again with all of the changes that they've experienced in recent times, and that the connections were made to keep our information accurate.
That's-
And they're quite happy to be able to have the resource to help them get their information out to the public.
I have one quick question about the list of potential rentals. It's a really, my only concern about doing the list is the 30% slums. And
Yeah, you don't need
slumlords
to
that we
worry.
have.
Yeah, you don't need to worry about that, and that's why I haven't reported very much on that,
Okay.
because it's very baseline. We're still having very preliminary discussions.
That tends to come back on the.
Yeah,
town,
that's
the people
different.
who don't maintain.
This registry is different than the rental registry that the town maintains.
Okay,
So the one the town maintains is there, and it has all of the landlords.
buyer
all of the
beware, rental beware, yeah.
Renters on there, whether there's availability or they're what you phrase as slumlords or not, that's like you say, buyer beware.
Yeah.
This rental registry will be laid out differently, available, not publicly.
Good. Very
Those are some of the discussions we've been having, so that's why I just say it's in discussion. Wonder if something is more settled, I'll let you know.
Thank you.
Any other questions of Lori?
Thank you for doing that one.
Okay, Brent's report is fairly self-explanatory. I know he was very frustrated with the snow blower showing up after the winter done. He, I kept accidentally asking him, how's the snow blower coming along? And all with the eye roll, and I went, sorry for asking. But yeah, no, when they bought the snow blower, it's under the understanding it would be delivered within a month. And, when it did get here, there was some shortcomings with it. As well as the plow truck, they're still, fixing some of the shortcomings on the new plow truck, so. It's been a challenging time for them.
Through the chair, Brent wanted me to mention too that he has been talking special areas about South Municipal Road. So they've asked him to come up with some details and a plan and then take it to them and figure out maybe there's some kind of cost sharing or working together on that project. So that is in the works as well. So he's in the early stages of coming up with that plan.
But is there any need for MPE to be involved with that or not?
I think they are working on something that's going to tie into that lagoon grant that we got. So they're using that to look at the drainage over there. Yeah.
Any questions? That's cool.
What do you think on that municipal road this year? Infrastructure is good to use. Probably bigger cost than all that. They'll then put pavement on there if you have no water and sewer.
Yeah, I know. Should be done at the same time.
Yeah, I don't think the plan is to repave the road, it's to manage it better. So, yeah.
You could just build on top of it.
Bob Phelan calls it might as well syndrome. Might as well put the pipe in while we're digging. Just a thought.
The main issue with that road in general is there, with the exception of from Hollister down to the corner past my lot, is there is no road, there's no base to build onto. I mean, it's we're at the merger of mother nature's whim. If it's wet and soft, it's wet and soft. And I don't know where we would get materials even to build that road up to build a base. The very east end isn't as bad as that piece basically from the bottom of the sewage lift station, probably over to the corner of Corag, I would say is probably my biggest challenge. But I trust Brent and special areas to come up with a viable solution. They'll bring it back to us and see what we can do with it, so. Okay, any other questions, concerns? Hearing none, can we get a motion to accept senior administrative official reports 8.01 to 8.03 as presented for information? Councillor Farrell had his hand out in front of me. Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Mr. Mole. Holy cow, you are an important character. You're so forgetting. I signed his check for you, it's okay.
Get back everything I said about you, Mr. Mayor. All right, extremely busy quarter, as you can tell.
Yeah.
At 2. Thank goodness, because the amount of time spent working on the PACE project and on that hearing, thank goodness we didn't have much going on, although I hate to say that. We had 11 last year. I'm sure I'll pay for it later in the year because the numbers always seem to bounce out. So it's probably just a little bit of a drought before the storm like we're having out there today, I guess. But yeah, we don't really control much on this. What comes in, and we deal with them in a timely fashion. So slightly down from last year, but time spent in the last 3 months was more than last year. So That's all I got for development.
Go ahead, Council
What
Owen.
is the average time frame, like turnaround time from a development from an average? Providing everything is,
Average would be under 5 business days average. We're allowed 20 days to review it and let the applicant know that it is either complete or we require more information. So if I chose, I could leave it sit on the desk 20 days. And then after they get the information, I believe I have another 20 days before I have to act on it. Trying to cut red tape, trying to get on them
Yeah.
quickly. Some of you in the room have pulled development permits, some of you multiples, and can attest that they usually try to get on as quick as possible. Now, some people don't get back to me with information in a timely manner, and then so be it, but
thank
didn't
you.
point a finger at either one of
No,
you.
no.
Not missing any days.
I'm just kidding.
Maybe I'm looking at the other end of the table instead. You four, I think are safe. Just because we didn't do hens, that's the only reason.
That's right, no chicken.
permit for any of the stuff.
He's doing it all illegally.
Or what am I doing with my coop?
It's in his backyard. You should go check, Mr.
Okay, motion to accept, kind of development permit statistics report for 2025 first quarter, January to March for information. Thank you, Officer David Mole, for your presentation this evening. Motion, Council Warwick, all in favor? Carried. Next,
Me again.
yes.
Starting to get more traction with our regional group. We met in February with their field officers here just to do our plan. Met in March with our field officers for the special areas plan. And we had a meeting last week in Acadia Valley, an agency meeting. It was supposed to be a committee, regional committee and regional agency meeting combined, but we were unable to hold the regional committee member meeting due to the lack of counselors being able to attend. I don't know, were you originally able?
Yes.
So we were one of the good people that said yes. Okay, I didn't ask.
Unfortunately, rescheduling is a no.
Well, it's gonna get rescheduled now. We got canceled. So we're gonna have to, and I'm not sure if we're gonna do that. So we'll get back to you on that June date. Cause we're polling now, and I guess my question to the two of you is daytime a problem? Would it be better to have it in the evening? Or would it
Well,
be,
evening's definitely better, but if
Okay.
it's daytime, it's daytime.
so we're trying to find out why we had such a low turnout from all the partners?
Yeah.
And just to see if it's our picking up dates and times or what we can do, or whether we don't really want to go virtual yet. Eventually, when it becomes old hat and don't have anything new for you.
Yeah.
It's a matter of doing that annual meeting that's required by municipal law. Then maybe it's a virtual thing or a hybrid. But for now, we're trying to still do in person. So I'll take that information.
Maybe, just sometimes it doesn't work. I mean, we do have 2 reps. But, would there be any reason why they couldn't do an outreach to one of the other counselors? So that we can move forward with those meetings, because when you're rescheduling, it's not always conducive for other members either. So maybe that's the outreach we need to start doing.
I think they want to keep it consistent so that the person attending is in the loop on that. We're one of the rare communities that has 3 on our emergency management. I found out on our committee that that's not the norm. A lot of the villages not only have 2, so they're not looking to go outside of that. And it would require a change in the RIMP document. Not to say we can't. And I think it'll be looked at now. This is the first time this has happened to us. It's meeting 2 and all of a sudden we were surprised. So whether we just happen to hit that bad date or what, but everybody's going back and asking their councils now, just what was the issue? Was there an issue? I'm hearing there wasn't an issue from Hanna, so that's good to know. Because I didn't ask to see who refused or who couldn't attend. So we'll see. We're talking to the chair, Councillor Hertz out of Oyen is the chair. So we're talking with him just to see what his thoughts are and we'll go from there. So.
Yeah, I've already reached out to Delane and said the June meeting, like proposed June meeting is not.
Yeah, and we're already looking at, there need to be some changes to that one. So,
Yeah.
yeah. We'll keep you in tune. But other than that, And I guess today attended ESS training at the fire hall all day, along with the ESS director, Michelle, and we're back there for some of tomorrow, so. Along with Bonnie and Raylene out of the office and Darcy out of Centennial Place and Rhonda out of Parks. So we have a good contingency doing ESS training. That's emergency social services. So learning about managing people part of a disaster, which is extremely important. So that's all I have, Mr. Mayor. If there's any questions.
He's taking a slow water. He's ready for next one.
Yeah.
Council accept the town of Hanna Director of Emergency Management 2025 first quarter, January to March for information. Thank you, Director of Emergency Management. David Moe for presenting this evening. Motion. Councilor Murphy, all in favor? Carried. Hanna Fire. Mr. Moe.
All right, as you can see from the stats that were in your package, slightly busier than last year. We had 21 incidents, so up 4 for the first quarter, so not a big change. Membership update, we're sitting over full right now at 31 members. 2 of them were juniors in high school. They both have since turned 18, but we're holding them back from giving them pagers till after graduation, till after they're done their grade 12. I want to not, they got a lot going on in their grade 12 years, so I'm trying to make sure that fire department doesn't get blamed for them doing poorly in their last semester of school. Well, yeah, and they both played hockey on the midget team, so they were a little busy. So their attendance is spectacular for Wednesday nights, though. So they're raising the bar, which is good. We are unfortunately expecting to lose 2 members later this spring that are telling me they have jobs or are searching for jobs out of town and are expecting to be moving. So that's not good. But we do have 2 applicants ready to interview. So pretty good to have a waiting list of applicants, because a lot of my friends that are fire chiefs around the province are struggling with recruitment and retention. So I'm happy that at this particular time we're not. I'm sure someday our turn will come. Regional training this year, we've completed a grain rescue course in January. We were able to do it completely inside the fire hall, brought a grain simulator in and a B train, and we're able to move things around. It got a little full in there. Got a little excited when we got a structure fire call while all of our ladders were tied together up above a grain trailer. Found out how fast you can break things down. We also started a new NFPA 1001 Firefighter 1 course in January. It still has 1 weekend of training left in Hanna in early May. We just did the 4th weekend in Oyen this past weekend, so we're on the road. We were successful in obtaining some grant money for regional training from the province's fire emergency training program. That program is very oversubscribed, but thanks to Alberta Fire Chiefs Association's lobbying efforts, which I have been directly involved in. For those of you that don't know, I switched from the Region 6 Director of AFCA to the Rural Director at Large for AFCA. So instead of having Banff to Oyen through a sliver that did include Calgary and a lot of other smaller metropolitans, I now have all the rural and towns and villages, hamlets for all of Alberta instead. But I also co-chair the Government and Stakeholder Relations Committee, and we've been doing a lot of lobbying with government. We've been to the legislative building in Edmonton so many times that security's on a first name basis with me now. We really were pushing to increase the training grant by 500,000 to $1 million, and they did it this year. Unfortunately, they only committed to this past year. So now we've already started on, can you make this permanent? So we usually only get a small portion of what we applied for, but with the increase, we received over half of what we applied for. So this will offset, of course, they'll either start this fall or next year. We're always a grant ahead in an application and receiving. So I believe it's probably in your information pack, but we got north of $29,000. And to give you an idea, the previous one, we got just under 8,000.
77.
Yeah, so rather substantial increase, which is great. Our training tower, and I guess one note on that, that is regional that we apply. So it's not just to train Hanna firefighters, it's going to cover all the firefighters in the region. So If we did a course and we had 4 students, it'll save us $4,000 roughly, work out to about 1,000 students. So
Every town in Alberta, south or all of it,
for the training group, it's just our regional training group, just our 14 departments
that you're responsible for,
that I'm the director at large for,
that's for all,
all of Alberta.
because you.
It's not as bad as it sounds. It's easier than being
Okay.
Region 6.
Okay.
I don't have to, I don't have Calgary, Airdrie, Strathmore, Chestermere, those ones anymore. I have more that are like our size and doing what we do. So it's actually been great. And I have a great alternate director out of Rocky Mountain House, out of Clearwater County over there. So he's really forestry rural, more prairie rural. So it's working really good so far. Training tower, we do have some warranty work coming up on the outdoor props. We have a problem with there's 3 main distribution boxes and we've got a problem with one of them. So we're hoping to get them out here in the next couple of weeks. Trying to get our site grading complete on the south end and along the campground. We'd removed the trees that were dying along the campground. Now we got to finish digging that out. Public Works is going to finish that when the ground dries. And then we need to do some more pit run and grading. And then once that's completed, we want to put that chain link fence around the entire perimeter so that no people can quit cutting through there with everything. And also hope to pour 2 more concrete pads on the north and east end of the training tower if we have enough money. And right when we were doing the PACE hearings, I got an email and we were selected by the Fire Underwriters Survey for a fire insurance audit of our community. Other than an information request about 20 years ago, this is our first full audit since I've been fire chief. It takes a look at the town's water supply system, where hydrants are in relation to residents and commercial property. It's looking at our development bylaws, which I had no clue that would happen. It's looking at policies for, do we require fire hydrants close to when new construction happens, and they want to see the actual bylaw showing that. So I have all of 25 to submit the audit. So there's a good chance I'll be coming back with some suggested bylaws that would be in our favor to have on the books, and mostly covering stuff we're already unofficially doing, but I can't find any documentation that says it's a bylaw that we must do it. And I just started working on this last week, really trying to get into the weeds to see what it was all about. They look at the policies as well as our fire department structure, our training program. So now that we're getting firefighters trained up to that level 1 and a lot of firefighters to level 2, that's going to help our.
I'm gonna say that's gold star.
That's gold star there. That high gold star. Fire prevention programs. And due to the current age of our fleet, I do feel good about where we'll be ranked. We're sitting right now, we got a new tender that's about to come in and it just got delivered to Red Deer the other day. I'm hoping I can use that in our account, that the pump will be large enough that it'll give us some points. And because we're running a 2016 is our next newest truck, so it's still under 10 years. And then our next newest one is the 2012, so it's within that 15 years barely. And then our 04 is over 20 but under 25. And we can do some testing on it to get it to count. So we just pump tested it and had a bunch of work done, if you'd notice in the payables. Rather substantial amount of money, but now really well worth it. Didn't expect an audit this year. So we got one more testing that's gonna have to go out for brake testing, and then they'll include that as a third line. So I'm hoping the way the years are lining up, we're pretty good right now.
Coming last year, that's Calgary Berries then.
Truck, that was the rescue, and the rescues don't have anything to do with the fire insurance rating.
No, just.
Yeah, it's just doesn't count. Yeah. So I just got one statement that might answer that. This ranking is what most insurance companies base their risk calculations on when determining fire insurance rates for our residents and our commercial properties. So when you go in and buy insurance from XYZ company, they have a rate sheet or on their computers, and it'll have already said in the community of Hanna, this is your factor for insurance. So we want to keep that factor as low as possible, because it can get pretty expensive in a hurry if every household all of a sudden is $500 higher on insurance. The flip side is if you get a better rating than you're currently at, we can maybe save $200 a residence on insurance. And when you calculate that out over every residence, it gets quite costly. And it is a formula that a lot of departments, a lot of municipalities use for their fleet replacement, including us. Our fleet replacement is loosely based on the timing on some of these staying, 10 years, 15 years, 25 years on trucks. Have a good variety. Have your apparatus staged like that so you don't all of a sudden lose two at one time and your ratings can jump if they audit you. So sorry if I've answered your question. Not.
My question was going to be, relating to the fact that a fire hydrant has to be near new construction.
Yep.
Is there one close to, like, the actual property or not?
You're talking the lodge property?
North of the line.
North of the lodge. So in that subdivision plan and whatever MP comes out with, there'll be however many fire hydrants put into that plan.
And that has to start before any construction starts?
Oh, yeah. Yep. That'd be part of the subdivision plan.
There's a hydrant in there.
There is a hydrant in there. There's a 6-inch water line goes in.
Yeah.
There's a hydrant. That is not, that'll stay, or at least the water line too will, but once MP, if we decide to go ahead with the subdivision, that'll be all part of it. That's where the Harvest Sky was conceptual drawings.
Mm-hmm.
And Mark made very clear in the meeting the other day that it was strictly conceptual. There was no engineering, no design that this fit in with the water lines. Sewer is there, there's a lift station, but same thing, there's one line to one spot and then it was above ground after that from the Adco trailers. So the lift station's there, which is great because that's, I believe, was over 200,000 at the time. And we got coverage for that or partial. So there's a lot of key infrastructure there, but it's still gonna all have to be worked out.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But at least if something were to start, that wouldn't be holding us back. That fire hydrant could move it along.
It's not gonna happen like that. It's gonna have to be the subdivision planned out. You might be able to do it in phases.
I realize that, but as far as, it's one step already done. You don't have to do that because it's already in place.
Yeah, there was a lot of, and Brent would better answer this than me, so don't hold to me, but there was a lot of infrastructure improvements with the lodge going in there that we had to loop some lines, had to be looped. I remember fire department did a lot of flow testing on the west end of town because a lot of our lines dead ended like 7th, 6th or 7th, 5th. And then there was some lines put in because in order to get enough water flow to have a 60 unit lodge, we had to get fire flows up to a certain rate. So a lot of that was done. Whether there's gonna have to be another tie-in when depends what subdivision, how big and what happens up there, right?
Thanks.
Any other questions? That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Motion that council accept fire department 2025 first quarter, January to March. Thank you to Chief Mole for presenting this evening. Motion, Council Olson, all in favor? Carried. Thanks, Dave.
Yep.
And good luck. Municipal enforcement.
Chelsea couldn't make it here today, but this is a report. She's dealing with dogs, busy all the time with reviewing bylaws and meeting with people to get things done. So this is a report.
It's actually interesting. I've had quite a bit of feedback. When did you guys get this bylaw enforcement vehicle? And so she is out and about and being seen, which is good. So, Ms. Mole?
Just a comment, Mr. Mayor, really been great in a little bit of working with her that I've done so far. She's comes in, sits down, wants to communicate and isn't scared to voice her opinion on files. We have a lot of crossover files with development, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
And some files that myself and Brent a little bit were trying to deal with, but not being bylaw officers. We didn't have a lot of teeth as to what we could do. And she's grabbed some of them and it's been fun watching her. So I hope her enthusiasm stays where it's been, because she could be really good.
Excuse me,
Council Orr.
I do have a question. I know she had indicated on here that as of April 7th, the matters of the a great number of dogs on a property was going to be dealt with. I was out for a walk last night and got stopped by a community member that lives within close vicinity that is starting a petition within the block. And so I said, fill out the paperwork, bring it. And they said they had done it several times already. And then I had noticed on here, once again, I went back to see if it for sure had said April 7th, and it did. Today is April 8th. So I'm hoping that issue has been taken care of.
The plan, as far as I was aware, was because they had to get cages for all the dogs, that it would be a phased process. All 13 dogs wouldn't go in one go. I think that the most they had was either 3 or 4 cages. So it would be 3 or 4 dogs at a time, and it's volunteers that are doing this. So it's a lot of coordination to get this done and remove these
How
dogs.
does the
How did
health
it
of
get to
those
this
dogs?
level?
Probably not that good. Sorry?
How did it get to this level?
That's what.
It was so noisy walking by there last night. Honest to goodness, I thought if I was a resident that lived within close proximity,
It's not.
it would be quite annoying from day to day. Like, these people just moved here from the city. Really, same
With
thing.
all 13 dogs.
Research
No, no,
Canada
no,
was a great
The
place to
other one,
be,
okay, gotcha.
and
gotcha.
they're regretting it. Because they said it is day in and day out. They cannot be in their yard. They cannot sit in their yard. So I'm hoping that we have closure on this very soon. Because of.
Yeah, and Chelsea's been waiting. He's talked to the
Okay.
bylaw and peace officers to see if there is pushback and these dogs are not being leaving, like what can we do? Unfortunately, we're very limited, but she's researching what we can do if she refuses to let these dogs go.
But there's a limit in our bylaws indicating that. there's
Yeah,
a
but we
limit to the
just can't go in and
number of
take them though.
She's gone above and beyond to accommodate, as much as she can, but still get the job done. So this has been an issue. There's been a lot of action happening in the last few weeks with
So,
it.
do all of them have licenses?
No, no.
Well, that's probably why we would remember.
It's the only time we find out about bylaw infractions is if somebody complains.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, right? You might notice something. It's no different than a development infraction, unless I happen to drive that back alley and go, whoa, what is that? It's a neighbor complaining about a neighbor, right? And having tried to help for a short time between bylaw officers, it's very frustrating because you write that letter and you ask, she's following up on a file that both me and Brent were working on in October 27th. I know the date. And we're still dealing with it because we don't have a lot of teeth in it sometimes as to what we can do. And they have rights as property owners
They have rights, but they're violating the
Neither
rights of
Brent
everybody
nor-
else.
neither Brent nor I are enforcement officers. So we hit a wall where we can only go so far. And RCMP doesn't come down into bylaw issues. So like I say, she's bit that one off too. And
You can, if the dogs are showing signs of neglect, then you can get the
He's talking
RCMP.
about a
I'm talking about a different one, but yeah,
Okay.
it's very, even when I was dealing with from a fire side, throwing fire code at them. And it was very coy on how they avoid things if they want to break the law or skirt the edges of the law. So
13 dogs, oh my God.
Motion to accept municipal enforcement services information, first quarter for information. Anyone? Council Farrell, all in favor? Carried, thank you. Big Country Housing Authority Board Member Appointment, Matthew.
I thought we'd let Dave handle this one.
I wouldn't give it to her, but
Yeah, we're just asking the council approves the appointment of Chris Moll to the Big Country Housing Authority Board as a citizen at large for a term ending October 31st, 2027. After a recent resignation, so they needed to fill that spot.
I can leave the room if you want to deny it.
That's fine.
I'll be happy to make a motion.
Council Murphy makes a motion
Absolutely.
that council appointment of Chris Moulton to the Country Housing Authority. Board is a citizen at large for the term ending October 31st, 2027. All in favor? Council Bowden, all in favor? Thank you. Carried.
I like her. It's okay.
I was surprised.
Minutes of the meeting, we've already got that covered off. Hanna Farmers Market Committee subsidy, Hanna Farmers Market subsidy. We've heard the speech.
Oh, abstain from this, because as president of the Ag Society, I'm an overseer, so.
You're not financially
You're not
gated.
financially.
No, I'm not, but it's just,
No, I don't think you can abstain.
But your area is only
But you
if
can't.
you are benefiting
Yeah.
financially from it.
Yeah, you
dang
can.
it, I was with the people of it. No, but-
Yeah, no, if
No,
there's financial gains and there's
No.
not, so.
Okay, no, that's all right.
The farmer's market is a very valuable component of our community. I mean, and as we all know, the curling rink sits there virtually empty for quite some time during the summer. If we can make an extra $4,500, I realize it's not life-changing money or anything, but it probably helps with the utility bills. That's my 2 bits for what it's worth. If anybody else has anything to add to it.
Well, and it's a short amount of time, like they're only, I didn't realize it was only, like they're in and out of there in 3 hours.
Yeah.
Like once a
It's a
week,
little bit longer because by the time they set up and tear
right?
down,
but it seems like a very
Yeah.
minimal amount of time per week that.
and I know they're very accommodating to any other events or functions that go in there. Because I've helped with the tear down, they'll literally haul the tables out and bring them back the next week. So it's not a matter of just stacking them up on the side. So they'll actually load them out and haul them out and then bring them back the following week. I know they're doing that. I don't see this being a bad thing. This is another one of these win-win situations as far as I'm concerned. I too do actually probably should, because I am a vendor there and I do get some pecuniary interest on that, so maybe I should, but
Well, you need to abstain.
yes, I.
But we need your
It's an
corn,
existing-
so it's okay. We need your corn.
I would have no problem not being part and parcel of this one.
You're the only one who brings it in. The farmer's market is fantastic. The roundhouse market is
Roundup.
My apologies, Madame Bowden, I did not mean to say roundhouse. The roundup market is fantastic. It brings people into town from all over. And I go every week. I absolutely love it. So I'm certainly very supportive.
So, Council Bowden?
I'd like to make a motion. If I may.
Yes, please.
I'd like to make a motion to meet the request of the farmer's market.
Council Crowe, you look a little perplexed.
So what are they asking for then? Like, are they
They're asking-
asking
Is it the
us
same as
to
last
waive
year?
The whole.
No, they're just asking for a reduced rate.
100%.
That's one.
But I think
Here it's,
it's less than what we recommended.
It works out to more than 20% now because
Yeah.
the fees went up a little
Yeah.
bit on the facility.
Council Bowden, would you like to put some numbers to it?
Go ahead.
But doesn't the letter say the same as last year?
Yeah.
Which is what the motion has,
Whatever the request is, yeah.
Okay,
which is what the motion has that we've already got.
all in favor of the motion? Carried. Special council meeting. You want to speak on that?
Yeah, through the chair to council, we just want to have a special council meeting on Wednesday, April 30th at 8:30 AM. This is for the purpose of approving the 2024 audited financial statements.
I'll make that motion.
Council Orlov, sorry. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Carried. It's more of the information session.
Just we're extending it. We'll have the special meeting then.
Are they gonna be merged, or we're just not gonna have an information?
We'll have, we've done it before, we just have to have a special, because we can't do any council minute business during an
That's right.
information session.
That's what I thought about that,
Okay, 9.08, sale of the surplus tables. Fairly self-explanatory.
We have had some interest.
They're great
Very good
tables.
people, so
They're
I
great
think
tables.
to put it out for a sealed bid is probably the best option.
So motion is council authorized chief administrative officer to offer a sale and advertise locally. The round banquet tables from the town of Hanna Community Center are determined to be surplus to operations of the town of Hanna on an as-is basis by sealed bid. Motion. Councilor Olson, all in favor? Carried. How many are there? 42.
I wouldn't wanna move those more tables.
Yeah, they're thinking that, sorry, they're not that bad. They at least roll.
They do roll, yeah.
On
True.
the side, that's why I'm in such a rush.
Takes two. 10.01, bylaw 1038/2025 virtual council meetings, bylaw, you want to speak to this, Matthew?
Yeah, through the chair to the rest of the council, municipal affairs sent a letter out to us. Letting us know about this requirement that all municipalities in Alberta offer electronic options for public hearings related to planning and development. They sent us a template of what the bylaw should look like, so we've just accommodated that template to the town of Hanna. So we are required to have this, it wasn't optional.
Did we not have one prior to this? I thought we had a virtual meeting.
I don't think we actually had a bylaw, we did provide it.
But this is to make sure that when we do anything that's planning related, that we definitely do
Oh, I see.
virtual, so people can attend, you maybe can't leave their home.
We did it last time, but because of COVID issues, we offered it virtual. But we didn't have to now, it's mandated.
No, yeah.
So all NPC meetings will have to be.
No. This is for hearings and as far as I know, unless,
So just the wording just says planning.
that's the first time I'm seeing it, to be honest.
Planning and development.
Again, this was the template that they sent to us to use.
Oh, public hearings related to, all right. Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I skipped a couple words.
Yeah, I don't think
Yeah, you had me double reading if you can, because I didn't read that the first time. So we get a motion to council, give first reading of bylaw 1038/2025, the 2025 virtual council meeting bylaw, motion, Council Warwick, all in favor? Carried. Motion that council give second reading of bylaw 1038/2025, the 2025 virtual council meeting bylaw, second reading, Council Murphy, all in favor? Carried. Council provide unanimous consent for a third reading of bylaw 1038/2025, the virtual council bylaw meeting at this meeting. Motion. Council Olson, all in favor? Carried. Unanimously. Council give the third and final reading to bylaw 1038/2025, the virtual council meetings bylaw. Motion. Councilor Searle, all in favor? Carried. (1039/2025) Newton Hoyt. Privacy bylaw, Mr. Norbert, would you like to speak to this, please?
Yeah, through the chair to council, this came about because I was just looking at the bylaw and I put it into AI and I put in the from the province to see if it was compliant, and it listed several areas where we were not compliant with our fight bylaw. So I used the AI to suggest how we improve this bylaw and what it suggested. So they created a new fight bylaw along with all the forms to fill in and complete to make a fight request. So it was good at highlighting potential issues that could be used for other bylaws that are old to make sure that they're compliant. So it's just to bring this fight bylaw, because it was 1999, I believe, what was the old one. So obviously regulations have changed since then. So yeah, so it's this might be your first ever AI bylaw that you pass.
So I have a question then in regards to that. Did that do the high, like the bold lettering? Did it? I was gonna say, do you have to cross-reference all of that wording? Because it seems like it just put in a bunch more words here and there.
It
that were-
just creates the words and then it's put into, Nona puts it into our own bylaw template so that it follows,
Okay.
which is a little bit of work in itself.
So I have a question, did you proofread it?
Oh, yeah. I read it several times.
So a human eye actually went through it as well.
Part of our AI policy that we have the.
I'm gonna say is a review of what great person,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
But I read it several times because, I wanted to make sure there's no errors. Yes,
and I just wanted to confirm that.
yes. Okay, 4 times I read it.
I guess the thing that I really didn't understand was the fees for information request. And how do we define those fees? Is it just kind of standard across the board? Did AI tell us that? Actually, I know AI didn't because some of these were prevalent before, but how do we decide what those fees will be?
It cross-referenced other municipalities' policies for fees. And like I looked at some and like, I think, what was it, like 25 cents per photocopy?
Yeah.
And that seemed about, like I know other places I've worked charge that. So I think it was just a collection of other municipalities and what they charge.
So did Hannah,
I'm sorry, the other question I wanted then, so $25 per request, if there was a request for a certain amount of information, whatever that may be, does $25 kind of cover that request then? Is that the feeling around that with the time and energies?
I think so. I think you're gonna get some FOIA requests that are quite easy to deal with, where others, like I think there was some before I started here, which were more time consuming. So I think that it's a fair, like, and there's like the search and retrieval after 3 hours. So it covers everything, right? So if you're spending a lot of time on this, that that there is staff time is paid for.
Council Bowden,
the town charged previously any for request, did they, or not?
I don't believe they did they?
Not on the development permit one, I don't believe we did, because we didn't have good policy to back that up at the time.
Well, given 1999, at least, oh.
I know discussions with the former CEO about whether we should or shouldn't, but to have that discussion after you've got one in front of you isn't the right time. So this is a good thing to review it and.
Yeah, no, I did. Yeah. Well, David,
any other questions? Hearing none. Council get first reading to bylaw 1039/2025, the 2025 Freedom of Information and Protection Privacy Bylaw, motion. Councilor Murphy, all in favor? Carried. Council gives second reading to bylaw 1039/2025, the 2025 Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Bylaw, motion. Thorough. All in favor? Carried. Council gives unanimous consent to the third reading of bylaw 1039/2025, the Freedom of Information and Protection Privacy Bylaw at this meeting. Motion. Council Orwick, all in favor? Carried unanimously. Council give third and final reading to bylaw 1039/2025, the Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Bylaw. Motion. Council Olson, all in favor? And carried. Thank you. Council reports and roundtables. Council Cole, anything to add? Perfect. Council Bowden, anything to add?
Actually, I think I do. You know, it's almost the end of this term, and there's very little information that has come across the table to council from councillors attending the meetings that they're appointed to. And you know, I thought that was an understanding or a requirement that as a councillor, it's our responsibility to report information on the meetings that we attend and to kind of keep the rest of council up to date. And I think we are extremely lacking that. And I think the potential for councillors to make decisions that the rest of council has no idea about, I think is a bit of a shame. And that's all I have to say.
Council Orlick, anything to add?
Well, I do have my notes there if anybody, but I just wanna, we did have a PEP meeting last Friday in Red Cliff. And it was really good. We had a report and it's all in there. I kind of put it in point form in its simplest, because we did have members of the PEP committee once again go to Japan for that international trade, and it was very time. So they're working out some partnerships and some business connections with what is happening in Japan and the resale of some products, which I thought was quite interesting. Also, I just want to remind anybody that the local to global conference that PEP is putting on April 23rd, 24th, and 25th. At the meeting, they said they had 45 registrations at the time. I'm not sure how many they're taking, but they did have to open up another block of rooms. But we're just encouraged. I know I've sat on PEP now for the last 3 years. This is, I guess it's the fourth, but I've never had the opportunity to go. So this year I'm taking the opportunity to go. I'm not sure what this is all bringing. But anyhow, if anybody else is interested in going, it's been an opportunity. We get $100 discount. Being a member. So if you want that discount coupon too, and you don't, I did forward the information. If you need it again, please let me know and I will forward it back to you. And that is all I have, unless you have any questions in regards to my notes that I presented, sent to everybody.
Council Olson,
I guess the active board will be the golf course now that we're getting ready. We were hoping for more water, so some fell down magically today. We could use another 3 feet or so, ideally. Yeah, so May 1st is always a start date. It'll be maybe a week before that, and we can get 9 holes open. And it's the same struggle as always. I went through in 2014, I think, is where it started to, COVID years. It was really, really tight budgeting every time. Water was really, really tight and really bad. COVID hit and that was probably one of the best revenue generating years for golf courses in the province when things opened up, since it was outdoors. And now as it stabilizes, we're back to the same thing. Membership hasn't really grown over 10 years. We have tried many things, and we're reducing staff hours, trying to reduce every little thing we can as we go. And had a meeting the end of last year, and we're quite serious about how fees need to increase to generate more revenue. Everybody recognized it and then voted not to increase fees. So we're stuck with the same thing. They want better service and more stuff, but nobody wants to pay more. It's a constant struggle. So it'll be the conversation around the golf course this year. I tell everybody they need to get pretty serious about having to pay a little bit. It's just the way it is.
Council Murphy,
Well, I've got Katie Foundation back in April, and we did a tour in Oyen of their facility that they're building for the new SL3, SL4 They've realized that Alberta Health said SL4 and then put in brackets D, which would be a dementia ward. And they realized they have to make it more secure for if they happen to have it. It just wasn't something they discussed. But the building's coming along very well. And of course, I've got library board. We've had several meetings due to an issue with a former employee. So we've got lots of litigation happening there. And I have Marigold, 2 meetings next week in Marigold, so I have to drive to Strathmore twice. And then Acadia Foundation is the following week with Consort. So I'll keep you posted at my next meeting.
Councilor Farrell.
Oh, we got our community service board meeting tomorrow night at 7:00.
I have nothing new to update. Off to Youngstown next Tuesday night for our Henry Kruger, and that's all I've got on my agenda, so. Motion to accept the council reports for information. Councilor Farrell, all in favor? Carried. Correspondence. Anything exciting that anybody would like to discuss in any more detail?
We have a lot of correspondence, but the one, I mean, there's lots to highlight. If you haven't read through it, I would suggest there's some good articles that we should read through, but 12.5, we did receive a letter from the chair of the Special Areas Board, Jordan Christian, and I'm just wondering if we have responded or can respond, thanking him for his service and collaboration over the years. I don't know if that's something we usually do, but I think it's.
Administration replied to him. We wish them luck.
Okay, so,
I also did.
okay, and can we, when there's a response like that, to a letter like this that we get through council, can we be added to that, so we know that?
So
I
it was
just,
an email and then put into the correspondence as a courtesy, I think, for council. So I don't think an official letter was responded. Was it?
No, and was it addressed to council? I think.
That's good.
it was addressed,
I can
Into mayors and CIOs.
yeah, to the mayor, yeah, so it was addressed to the mayor. Yeah, and I mean, all the mayors
in
in the
CEOs,
special
I
areas
think.
and, I mean, I don't know all the, because it's only email addresses that I can see. I have no idea what the names are attached to some of them. But it'd just be nice to know that we did respond, and thank you for doing that. That was, I think it was something that we needed to do.
Anybody else? Mr. Robert.
I have a slight update on Kitty's Corner. I spoke to the principal of the school and he let me know that because of some parents' concerns, they're reevaluating their plan and it may remain at its current location, but there's nothing finalized as yet. So it's up in the air.
So I have a question then, if it does, because I understand they have a teacher that is in position already, if that transfers into the school, is that same teacher transferring with that program?
I think from what I'm told, they have to open it up. They have to advertise the position.
So then if it remains in the same facility then, does that individual's positioning get reinstated? Like, it just seems a little messy to me.
It seems to,
Like what?
yeah.
I think that all should have been ironed out before they
I think so too.
went
Wow.
to the steps that they did, and, yeah, I think it's.
Try living with the lady that's going through this, trying to figure out what's going on.
Well, especially after how many years, like 25 some years that
And
she's been working there, and I have never heard a complaint or anything. And she doesn't say anything, but
Oh, she does.
But, yeah, I just think that there was some poor planning on some people's part to at least not give some sort of, research into that before putting somebody through that situation.
Well, and we also received a letter from, the Kitty's Corner.
Yeah.
Well, the Kitty's Corner, I implemented that because I said to my wife, I said, as the mayor, I said, if you guys are leaving, you have a 6-month obligation to give us notification that you're leaving. I said, that's in your contract.
Yeah, so then that holds, our nose to the grindstone too, with what's happening here. So
I know I've talked to a couple of the parents and the proposed area that they were looking at doing it, and I apparently there was a bit of a jut out where there was a library area in the school, and that's where they were going to put them. They were gonna put up a glass wall, and I don't know if 3 or 4 year olds, but if there's a glass wall and there's anything going on the outside of that wall, they're probably not paying attention. So I have talked to a couple of the parents of 3 and 4 year olds, and they've voiced some concerns. They've gone and they've talked to Mr. August at school, and I don't know exactly where. It's very convoluted and confusing, for lack of a better word.
So why does the school division have any say in this sort of anyways?
they don't.
No, they do.
Yeah, but why? It's not compulsory that a 3 or 4 year old.
Yeah.
Attends.
I believe so what's happening right now is there's a program called PUF for kids that need some extra help. So what's happening is the PUF kids are going to the school and they're being integrated with the kindergarten class. So you have 3 and 4 year olds integrated with the kindergarten class with these PUF kids. And I think and this is my interpretation, is to integrate the PUF kids back with the 3 and 4 year olds in the school. And I would imagine there's probably some provincial funding if they bring that into the school. That would be my personal opinion of what's going on. But it's been very poorly shared with the community and everyone involved as to what is going on. So I do know that, like I said, I talked to a parent last night before last, and she was very upset about the lack of communication. So and I don't think that Mr. August is withholding any information. I don't think it's been very well put together for him. So anything for closed session?
No, I have one more thing.
Okay, go ahead.
If you read that rural, health week, they did request a council proclaim that week as rural health week. So I don't know if you wanted to make.
Proclaim away, my dear, proclaim away.
Just for a little background information, when requests like that come across, they usually just come onto my desk and we go ahead and do the proclamation if it's applicable to our community. We do have a rural health promotion kind of that we're working on to bring some attention to that week within the community. So I was hoping to have a little bit more, have it ironed out a bit more to let you know more about it tonight, but I don't know.
And honestly, that proclamation that's May 26th to 30th, right? Isn't that something that Alberta Health Services does?
Oftentimes those organizations, I know the library has one or two, they'll write a letter and they'll ask the mayor to proclaim this week something, and we'll get, half a dozen of those.
Library, getting all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we don't necessarily do a formal proclamation in our advertising. We just try to bring attention to it. We just don't want to bring every proclamation request to council unless council wants us to.
Conversation? I trust Lori to deal with it appropriately. Okay. Have you got anything else?
Nothing else.
Nothing else.
Oh, Winona's waving.
Yes,
Would you like to make more?
I'm going to. I'm just checking before we got any. We've had 2 add-ons, so motion to accept correspondence for information. Councilor Farrell, all in favor? Carried. Do you have any closed session?
Nothing.
Nothing. We will adjourn at 7:35 PM.